Hey everyone, this is Jeff from that'sgoodenough for me.com, and this is another episode of Almost Punk Enough, our podcast. You may have noticed we've been kind of absent for a bit. Part of that was because I was doing a cross country move from California to Minnesota. That didn't go so hot, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. But first, I'd like to welcome our guy, Jim Gordon. And joining us
Hey,
later
how's it
will be
going?
Jason. Yeah, Jason Baygood will be joining us in a bit. We're going to do a little bit more, probably one more Riot Fest news. It seems there's been some interesting developments both in the after parties and the main event. So sorry to cut you off there, Jim. How you doing?
Good, good. Looking forward to
Good.
talking all things Riot Fest. Um, for a lot of us, this is kind of like Christmas and New Year's all rolled into one. And the day is approaching, a week from Friday. Can't believe it's already here.
I know it's pretty crazy. It kind of goes by so fast. As I mentioned in the green room when we were chatting earlier, I've kind of been out of the news due to our move. It was a big one, and we left our old place basically on the 31st of July, but we couldn't move into our new place until the 16th. And then the movers ended up showing up at the end of the delivery window plus 1 day. So they didn't come until the 26th. So it's been kind of haphazard around here. And I've just been running around like a chicken with my head cut off on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I've been through those moves, and every time you do a move, you say this is going to be the last one because it's always just so much work and then so stressful, and then dealing with all the boxes and everything for weeks. So been through it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd just like to mention, looks like Jason is now here. Hey, Jason, can you hear us? Or
Technical
Jay?
difficulties.
Yeah, Jason, can you hear us? Huh. Okay. He may be here. I see his video,
He's
so
on the
it looks like
move.
he's on the move.
Hey,
Uh,
can you guys hear me?
we
Yeah,
can. How you
Oh,
doing?
great. I'm okay. Sorry, chicken with a head cut off today, but
No worries. Hey, thanks for joining us, and it's good to hear your voice and good to see you.
yeah, you too, guys.
Excellent. We're just blathering about my recent move, and I wanted to say one thing. I miss the days when you were young. Like I lived in a college town, even though I didn't go to college. And when I moved, I could just basically take my bed and throw it into a truck, and then put on my clothes into a garbage bag and be out of the place and into a new one. And now it's like this whole big debacle. It's a nightmare.
yeah, collecting all the stuff. I mean, it's stuff, and more stuff, and then you need a bigger house to put all your stuff.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so I just want to quickly tap on some of the recent news we've put out. As you may have noticed, the website was a bit quiet during my move as well, and we've mostly been posting just a lot of reviews, including Tom Trauma, who also does the Punk Till I Die podcast. He's got two reviews of the Drowns live at Rebellion and also the Cheats Old Rats on a New Ship. Albums. And editor Bad Dad got a 40th anniversary review of Better Off Dead the film and the 25th anniversary review of the cheerleader centric movie Bring It On. That's amongst a lot of other news, so always feel free to visit the website uh, to read new news and reviews and things like that. And now, in just a moment, we're going to come back and start talking about Riot Fest. See you in a couple seconds. And we are back. So, as I mentioned before, it looks like we've got a lot of news for Riot Fest, both the after party events, news with some of the bands playing that kind of changed things up. And I'll let you guys go ahead and start us on that since, as I said, I'm not going and I've been out of the news in a month. So, why don't you fill me in?
So, I guess a good place to start. I know, Jason, you want to talk about the after shows, but we'll talk about the fest first, and then we can talk about the after shows. And I think the big news was Sex Pistols dropping off. That was a real disappointment for everybody. Sad to hear that Steve Jones broke his wrist. Wish him well. Get well soon, Steve. Get back out on the road. We'll look for you at Riot Fest 2026. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, let's.
And uh, so, yeah, so what that did was threw a little bit of a wrench into things for Saturday, and people were guessing that maybe another band would be added, but that was very last minute, I mean, I had my fingers crossed. Back in the day, they would have pulled in Taking Back Sunday. Taking Back Sunday is their go-to. They used to play every year, not on this year. Uh,
Yeah.
and they used to fill in any open slot that they had. Taking Back Sunday would play twice in one day. They did it. They had to fill in for somebody at the fest proper, and then they had an after show that day too. So they are the warriors of Riot Fest. They always come when Riot Fest calls. Um, they must have had a conflict. So no Taking Back Sunday, but what they did, it appears, is just push back the Rebel stage, push all the bands back, and then they've got the Damned closing at 8:30 going up against Weezer Saturday night. So that's changed things up on Saturday.
Yeah, I imagine that's
Wow.
going to be tough. We had talked about earlier about what everyone's conflicts were, but now everything's kind of shifted a bit. What do you think about that, Jason?
Yeah, that's interesting. You're a lot more in tune than I am. So yeah, I did notice. Obviously, they did not replace the Sex Pistols. Honestly, I think that's a good move. There's so many. I think this lineup is so stacked that there really wasn't a need. Would have been great, but it would have been a lot of short notice. I didn't realize that they shifted the schedule. So you're you're a lot more observant than I am. So I will have to kind of reassess Saturday, see what the conflicts are. I think I may have mentioned this the last time. For me, Friday and Sunday is kind of more my meat and potatoes. Saturday was kind of my more casual day at the fest. So, but like you said, majorly bummed because Pistols was the number one highlight for me on Saturday. So yeah, I think I speak for everybody when I say everyone's bummed because everyone's curious to see what that would be like.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to that. And yeah, now we do have some different conflicts. One thing it did for me was my original conflict was Military Gun and Agent Orange. And
Yeah.
now Military Gun is playing at the same time as H2O, which is a bit of a conflict, but I think I'm going to catch Military Gun.
Oh, you know what? I'm very glad that you brought that to my attention because that was one of my main conflicts too, was Military Gun and Agent Orange. So that actually makes me quite happy. I love H2O also. They're always great live, but a band I've seen many times, and so both Agent Orange and Military Gun were on my radar. So if they're not conflicting anymore, that's a positive for me.
Well, unfortunately, the new conflict, at least for me, is Superchunk, Helmet, and Agent Orange are basically all playing at the same time.
Ooh,
Ouch.
that's tough. That's tough because Helmet was definitely on my radar. So Um, I know we've talked about this before that Betty isn't maybe collectively our favorite album of theirs, but definitely would have been great to see.
And then also, since Marky Ramone got pushed back, I don't really have a conflict for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing Marky and just reliving the old days and hearing some Ramone songs, some old classics.
That definitely sounds like it's kind of working out for you. So sorry, Sex Pistols, but maybe it was for the better.
Yeah, it's like Jason said,
Yeah.
it's such a stacked lineup that you know, losing one band wasn't as big of an impact as it may have been at
Oh,
other.
exactly. And I know I think I've mentioned this before too. If not to you guys, definitely to offline to friends. Is like I can't even imagine what the expense, the entertainment expense is this year for Riot Fest with the star power they have. So I got to imagine, knowing how well the ticket sales seem to be from what they're saying, losing the Pistols in a way. I mean, I think the ticket sales have been great, which is fantastic. But I'm sure losing the Sex Pistols was also a little bit of a maybe sigh of relief, if that sounds weird for the organizers, right? I'm sure that wasn't cheap. So in those situations, like, if you're replacing an American band, that might be a little more palatable. But, I imagine from a logistics perspective, may have just worked out best.
It's kind of funny. At first, I initially suspected that the Sex Pistols, like something happened with their visas. Under this current administration, we've seen bands and musicians and
Yes.
artists not get their visas. So I don't know. I think that
Right.
Or just opt not to come to the US at this time for political reasons.
exactly. Okay, well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we get back, we'll have more Riot Fest, including talking about the after shows and other fun stuff, and also we'll get to Jim's VIP. And we're back, and we're continuing to talk about Riot Fest, which is coming up not this weekend, but next weekend. And I'm here with Jim and Jason, who are my Riot Fest aficionados. And what's next on our docket, guys?
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about, I'll just take a couple minutes here, just the recently kind of announced after shows or changes to after shows. This is something really big for me personally, kind of, alleviate some conflicts and things of that nature. So when they first announced the after shows, I don't know if folks caught it, but they kind of said, they were going to kind of have like a special 20th anniversary Friday night at Metro. Well, they did end up announcing that, and what that is Screeching Weasel, supported by the Effigies on Friday night at Metro. Now, if you're a longtime Chicago punk fan or Screeching Weasel fan, and you've been around Chicago for a long time, never in a million years would you have ever guessed that Ben Weasel would play at Metro. Um, Throughout the 90s, he actually led a boycott of bands at Metro.
Yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
if you guys recall that, that was huge. So, many bands still went on and played and et cetera, which is fine, So anyways, long story short, for me as a longtime fan of the band, it's very interesting to me that now of all times, the band is willing to play Metro, but either way, I am a fan, and to me the music always kind of comes first anyways. I don't, that's his personal politics. So I was very stoked to hear that. And so, yeah, I definitely grabbed a ticket for that. So I will be there Friday night for Weasel and Effigies. Weasel on Sunday are playing My Brain Hurts in Full. So, hopefully Friday night we'll get a different set. So that'll be cool. And then the Effigies are always great. And then on Sunday, the other after show thing I just want to touch on briefly is there was always a Marky Ramone Buzzcock show Sunday night at Metro. And I had heard rumblings that something was happening, and that something ended up being a Naked Ray Gun headlining performance Sunday night,
Yes.
closing out Riot Fest. I I gotta watch what I say because, as I said, I've been hearing rumblings. I can't recall all of what's been made public, so I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But yeah, you definitely don't want to miss it. I think the chances of Naked Ray Gun performing ever again could be slim to none. Given the health of band members and other logistics. So I think, long story short, that'll be an amazing way to close out 20 years of Riot Fest. So I'm shocked that show didn't sell out instantly. I noticed that there are still tickets available, which kind of blows my mind. But so to cap that a little bit, I'll just mention really quickly that that's really nice for me too, because catching those after shows. I mean, I think doors for both of those are at 10, so meaning could still catch most of the headliners on Friday and Sunday, being Blink and Green Day, and then heading over there and making it on time, and then knowing seeing Effigies and all those bands at Metro, also kind of frees up if I have any conflicts with those bands on their respective fest days. So, yeah, it's cool. So it's going to be a very late nights for me, and I've never really done that many all day late nights before. So, I got to eat my Wheaties.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Man,
Yes, it is.
we don't do the after shows anymore just because we're so wiped at the end of the day. But to do two after shows in 3 days, that's doing the yeoman's work for sure.
I was gonna say, I think in every year, yeah, I believe I've only ever done like in one year one after show, and a couple of those have been when not even going to the main fest. But I don't know. I think my as I get older, even though I'm not getting younger, what I am getting is more of an appreciation for my favorite bands while they're here. And there's just certain things that I just felt like, Weasel at Metro, Naked Ray Gun capping off. There's just certain things that I just like. I would not be able to go to bed that night knowing I missed. There's many after shows that would have been cool just to see. That I'm like, oh yeah, like you guys, like no way, that's way too much after a day. But there's just these are just two that I felt I can't miss, and maybe others feel differently. But yeah, so it'll be some marathon 3 days for me.
I I definitely agree with that, and your assessment on the potential. This might be the final Naked Raygun show ever. Who knows? Maybe not. But the potential is there, and it looks like it's going to be quite an event. I mean, Marky Ramone and the Buzzcocks right there would have just been loads of fun. But now, as it says on the announcement, Naked Raygun and friends playing about that many songs. So they're leaving a lot of ambiguity there, and it'll be a lot of fun to find out who those friends are. It looks to be a fun show, and I think there's going to be a lot of hometown people there that I wish I was there with them. So I'll live vicariously through you.
Yeah, right on. I will report back on it for sure.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
would
I'm
better.
totally jealous. I'd love to be able to do it. And I mean, Weasel alone on Friday is going to be ripping. And then Raygun on Sunday to close it out. And, the Friends thing, that other local bands, maybe Alkaline Trio, I know that they're touring, they might have conflicts, but that there are going to be some guests up there, probably something pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break again, and we'll be back in just a moment for a little bit more Riot Fest. And we are back. Jason had to skedaddle off to go save some children from a burning fire or whatever he does nowadays. So it's Jim and I to finish up this talk about Riot Fest, and we're going to talk a bit about what to expect from the event itself, and Jim's gonna talk about what he's hopeful about with these potential VIP passes he's potentially going to get a hold of.
That's the plan this year, definitely, is to do VIP. I've got some VIP tickets locked up. I think it's good. I always wait till the last minute to get my Riot Fest tickets to see what's going on with the marketplace. The prices tend to fluctuate. And as you get closer to the show, you can usually get some good deals. So that's looks like I've got some VIPs locked up, and now so back in the day, I should say that, you used to be able to sneak into the VIP pretty easily, and we used to do it on occasion, especially to take advantage of the restrooms, which are nicer. The regular festival has porta potties. The VIP has like a trailer, one of those kind of um, bathroom on wheels kind of thing. So it's a little
Yep.
bit nicer, and they do a better job of keeping it cleaned up. So that's one of the attractions to VIP, as well as, different food choices, beer lines supposedly shorter, but I think it's the beer lines are long everywhere. And then, back in the day, VIP used to have special sections for viewing, and they still do, but they're not close to the stages really. They're usually there's a VIP section that's in the back. I think if you want better viewing, you have to do like the deluxe upgrade, which is a couple $1,000. That's out of our price range. Yeah, and then you get your own private cabana, and it's like having a skybox at the baseball game. Uh, I know people that have done it, and if that's your cup of tea, um, I mean, hey, good for you. And everyone does Riot Fest their own way.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of fun to see how much it has evolved now, and I have heard some kind of I've heard people in the past, and this could have been years and years ago, talking about how the VIP section was actually kind of far away from the stages, and they didn't feel like it was more of a okay, so this is a kind of cushioned experience, but you're not really experiencing the show as much. So it'll be good to see how well this plays out. And since you can't sneak into the nice bathrooms anymore, you might as well pay a little bit
Right.
more to get into them. All right, and what else do we expect from the day and from the event? Do you know if they've released the maps yet,
So I
or
checked today and I did not see a map. So, this is kind of typical of Riot Fest. And, personally, not much changes, I don't think, every year. But for some reason, we don't have a map yet. So maybe we could get a change in the footprint. I think that the basic setup is going to be the same. Um, you've got the two main stages, which are Roots and Riots, and they're next to each other with alternating acts. And then typically what they consider to be the big headliner is closing out on Riot. And then there's a huge space there um, that I'm thinking you can easily fit 100,000 people in there. And so
wow,
if that's the thing, and if there's no uh, other band to pull people away, kind of like Sunday night with Green Day, um, then there is space for all the attendees to see the band. And they've got screens and they've got speakers like satellite speakers so that you can hear the band no matter how far away that you are. Not that that's really an issue because typically the band is plenty loud to hear from all the way even outside the festival. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be it's going to be good. I think the map is going to be the same as last year, the five stages, the two alternating, and then the Rebel, Rise, and Radical are kind of on the periphery a little bit away from the two mains. I think we talked about it the first time around, but I expect there to be some sound bleed. I mean, you just can't avoid it at a
right?
festival like that. They don't have a giant footprint. If you can make the stages really far away, then you can avoid that, but they don't have that big of a space to work with. So I think it's going to be the same old, probably hear a little bit of some other bands when you're watching a band on one of the satellite stages, but we've all learned to deal with it by now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's part and parcel of when you have an event like this inside in a major city. And Douglas Park, it's big, but it's not huge. It's not Central Park huge, and so and they don't even really use the entire space because there's obviously it's bisected by Old Route 66. So I imagine they do the best with what they can, and sound bleed is going to be a thing. But I remember commentary on how sound bleed was a little bit maybe too bad last year. There's too much of it where you could hear the other band, the bigger band, over the little band. So we'll
Right.
see. We'll see if they make any adjustments to that.
Hopefully, we'll
Yeah.
see.
And
We
do
can
we? So you're kind of like an old hand at this. So what are you expecting for the day? What are your preparation plans? What should people know before they go to Riot Fest? What should they do? What should they bring?
so well, one thing that you always, obviously, a few weeks out, you start tracking the weather, and without a doubt, for 3 or 4 years running there, at least a while back, you could expect rain. Um, and even though there's no rain in the forecast right now, I think you should be mentally prepared for some rain because it seems like we always at least get some. But last year, I think we had a mid 80s day and then 2 days in the 90s. And
Oh
so that
yeah, I
was a
remember that.
hot
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a steamer last year, and we had to, during the day, we really had to find shade. And most people were either out burning up or, kicking in the shade until the sun went down. And that doesn't look to be a problem this year. I think we're going to have mid 70s. It's going to be unseasonably cool, and that's going to be great. You don't have to deal with the heat. You don't have to worry about it. You can go to the shows you want to see, and you don't have to factor in, is there shade there, kind of thing. So that's one issue that people won't have to worry about. Obviously, prepare for cooler weather, bring your hoodie. You can bring a blanket. So, bring a blanket, you can lay it down, and if it gets cold enough, you can wrap up in it.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you're outside all day, so obviously bring some sunscreen. Kind of,
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't forget your sunscreen. My motto is, when it comes to the day at the fest, eat what you can when you can and drink as much water as you can. Because it's important to stay hydrated. And back in the day, you'd be going from band to band, you'd forget to get food, you'd be starving, and then you go, and if you're going to get food at like 6, 7 o'clock, it starts getting dark. So that's a pain too. It's just getting over there. And then waiting in line, um, could be a long wait because everyone kind of does the same thing. They end up eating at like 6, 7 o'clock. And it really delays things. So eat what you can when you can and drink as much water as you can.
Definitely, definitely good advice. I remember one time I went to a Warped Tour event, and this is like 99 or 2000 up here in Minneapolis actually when I was living down in Madison, and we had thought it was going to be indoors at the Metrodome because they'd been having like lots of thunderstorms, but those cleared off, and we got here and it was set up outside, and I was not prepared. I had like a tank top on and no hat, and I was out in the sun all day, and I was in pretty bad shape after that. So yeah, water, eat, and sun cream. All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Uh,
key.
Key. So, so is there anything else we should know before we close out for today?
Um, you know, One thing that I wanted to mention, I do want to get back to the bands a little bit. This is the 20th anniversary of Riot Fest. It's an amazing lineup. Get there early, see some of these early bands. I mentioned Military Gun is playing early. There are some classic punk bands playing early, the Effigies, Zero Boys, um, you know, Catch Marky Ramone, Catch Agent Orange, Catch the Damned. So many classic bands, Buzzcocks. Like Jason said, see these bands while you can. They've been around a long time. They're the ones that laid the foundation, and you'll see why.
Definitely, definitely. That's good advice, and and it's kind of end on a maybe a bit of a morbid note. We don't know how long a lot of these bands will still be performing for us.
That's a good point.
So definitely get in there while you can and help them to get their payday, so they can either keep going or retire well off. All right. Well, Jim, thank you very much for joining us today to talk about Riot Fest. And Jason, also, who's not here, thanks again. We look forward to your coverage of Riot Fest when it's all over. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks
Thanks.
much. Have a good one.
You too.